In this episode of The Tech John, we discuss if mobile payments are yet a thing, Microsoft phasing out Authenticator's password manager, Apple no longer being able to collect third-party App Store fees, and no more Temu items from China. Got all this and more for you in episode 176 of The Tech John from Columbus, Ohio. I'm your host, Robb Dunewood.
And out of Atlanta, this is Terrance Gaines, a.k.a. Brother Tech, a.k.a. Happy Cinco de Mayo to those who celebrate. If not, then just, I don't know.
Happy Monday. It's
do
the
it.
5th.
Do what you were normally doing. I've seen in recent years a discussion on who should be celebrating Cinco de Mayo, who should be celebrating, what's the Irish holiday?
I have no clue.
Come on, man.
Oh, St. Patrick's Day?
Yes. St. Patrick's Day. Everybody's back and forth about who should be celebrating what, so I always want to make sure I am cognizant of those who choose to celebrate and those who don't choose to celebrate. So I'll just make sure to put that out there.
Do you? That's how I roll.
Well, I guess the whole thing was around, people celebrating Cinco de Mayo and not having no idea what it is, thinking have something to do with the Alamo. Have no idea what the history behind it. They just go Happy Cinco de Mayo and then go out and get drinks. So I think that was the whole argument. It's like, hey man, if you're gonna celebrate, at least do some figuring out why we celebrate it and what's the purpose. And then if you want to go celebrate it, go celebrate it. So I think that was the whole back and forth about who should be celebrating, because there's some people who, another excuse to drink. And is that really disrespect if you're not respecting the holiday? Because if I was just like Independence Day, people be like, wait, but, you know what I'm saying? So it's just like, I want to make sure I'm being respectful at the very least.
Okay. Showing your sensibilities. I get it. So those who are watching and listening, you probably have not heard the voices usually in between Terrance and I. Steph is getting hemmed up in some of this. I think it's the Newark issues that are happening with travel right now. I literally was just looking at something where United Airlines, which I believe is the biggest, airline at the Newark airport, which I believe Newark is one of the biggest airports in the country. They just flat out said, if you can not travel through Newark, we would love that. We would appreciate it, because they're just having so many issues from, I guess, not enough air traffic controllers and stuff like that. So like people are just not able to work over. You can, air traffic control is one of those jobs to where they do not want you working when you're sleepy. So you're on the clock for a certain amount of time, and then you have to take breaks and come off. So there's a bunch of stuff going. But anyway, she got hemmed up in some travel. She thought she was gonna be able to make it, but with the travel delays, she was not able to make it. So you and I Terrance, are gonna just do this 2-man show. And also, before we jump into the show, we do have to give some flowers out, to give a shout out. Jonathan Bell, one of our patrons, has given us a raise over on Patreon. So they have upped their tier. So I want to thank Jonathan Bell for holding us down and deciding that, hey, we're doing so much, I'm going to actually give us a raise. So he did do that. And for those who are wondering what is Robb talking about, if you would also like to support the Tech John like Jonathan, you can do so by becoming a patron. Head over to thetechjohn.com/Patreon, where you're going to find multiple tiers over there. As we just said, Jonathan, moved his pledge to a higher tier, and he'll get a few more benefits, but everyone gets access to our live stream and our after party. The Tech John is not just a podcast. It is a live stream and web show as well. So once again, if you would like to support the show, you can do that by heading over to thetechjohn.com/Patreon. So man, I had a good weekend this weekend. So my father-in-law came down for the weekend. My father-in-law has a new lady friend, and it is their 1-year anniversary that they've been dating. So they just came down to hang out with my wife and I for the weekend. And one of the things that we did, we went out to dinner 3 times. We went out Friday, Saturday, and we did brunch right after church on Sunday. And one of the things that my father-in-law noticed is that when I pay for stuff, I just use my phone almost all the time. It is very rare that if I can tap to pay, that I will not use my phone or my watch. So my first question for you is that, do you use mobile payments at all? Do you use Apple Pay to pay for stuff, or you pull your credit card out and tap it?
No, I'm the same. I'll use my watch first, and if the watch don't work, then the phone. If the phone don't work, then I'll dig in my pockets.
So, like I said, long story short, he sees me do this a couple times. And he's like, son, so you trust that? And I'm like, you mean more than handing my card to somebody and letting them walk away for 3 to 5 minutes and then coming back and just handing me a piece of paper that I signed? He's like, well, you put it that way. Yeah, maybe I shouldn't trust that either. But he's never used his mobile wallet on his phone. So he uses a Samsung phone. He has access to it, but he says, in his words were, I just don't trust it. So I asked him, I said, so what is it that you don't trust? And then as he really thought about it, he said that it's really not that I don't trust it. It's just that I don't know anything about it. So I don't know anything about it. Therefore, I'm not trying to use something where I don't know how it works. So it
Mhm.
just, it got me, into just thinking. So he saw me do this on multiple occasions, and he saw how easy it was. It's like, that's all it is. You just tap your phone and that's it. You don't have to do anything else. It's like, nah, it's just like tapping your credit card. Now he's someone that is like, yeah, I guess it is. Tapping your credit card is pretty easy. So tapping your phone is like tapping your credit card. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, you're not worried about, putting all your money on your phone. And that's where one of his, I understand his misunderstanding comes in. So it's like, so I'm not putting any money on the phone. And I'm thinking, it's like, well, if you don't know, you don't know. So he's thinking I got to like load cash onto the phone in order to be able to do this. Something that he does use fairly regularly is Cash App, because that's how he sends money to his grandbaby whenever she asks granddaddy for some money. So that's one of the things that he understands. So I was like, so it's not like Cash App. It's, it is different than Cash App, but just like if you think about Cash App, that is not you putting money on Cash App. It is, he's got it hooked up to where it pulls the money right out of his checking account. And I'm like,
It's the same.
yeah,
It's the exact same.
uh,
It's the exact same.
yeah. In fact, it's even more secure. It's even more secure than an app like Cash App. But
Well, no, I'm saying using Cash App and Zelle is no different than using Apple Pay and Google Pay or whatever the case may be. It's just how you're presenting your money.
mm-hmm,
You're just presenting your money differently, but it's the same whether I give you actual cash, if I present you with a check, if I present you with a credit card, if I present you with my phone, or if I send you some money via Cash App or Zelle. The money's going through the same directions. It's just how I'm presenting it
mm-hmm.
to you is different. I think that's what people think. Oh, it's so different. Actually, it's the same. I'm just giving you something different for you to then do the
just
transaction.
just in my opinion is that you're making it easier. You don't have to carry around a wallet full of credit cards anymore. It's just easy. Just pull your phone out or your watch. You don't have to, in our cases, we don't have to pull anything out. You just take this thing and just tap it and it just works. It just does what it does. So long story short, I ended up showing my father-in-law how to set up Samsung Pay on his phone.
Mhm.
Load one. Now he didn't want to load his primary card in there because he don't trust that. So you just put this, like, I think it was a JC Penney's card or something like that. Yeah, just put this one on there and let me see how it works. So he was able to get that all set up. But it got me to thinking, from yesterday till today, I just wonder how many people are now using their phone to actually tap to pay, to make a mobile payment, whether it be Apple Pay or Samsung Pay or Google Pay, or I believe even like Visa has a Visa Pay now, to where you can load the app on your phone and tap your phone to pay from directly from your Visa card. And I just wondered how many people are doing it. And even though it is on the come up, there's still not a lot of people doing this. I believe it is only about 17%, not even 20%, of American adults are using this. About 17% use their phones to make in-store purchases. And the older you get, the lower that number goes. So if you're over the age of 55, it's actually less, depending on which number you look at, it's either less than 7% or less than 5%. So I was just, really thinking, if a lot of folks like my father-in-law, he is not a, he is not a Luddite. He's not afraid of technology. In his mind, I've never done it this way. I don't know anything about it. So I'm not going to even worry about doing it that way. It wasn't until he just saw me
Well,
doing it over and over again that he asked a question about it.
well, you got to be. It's people have to be careful, right? Because you made the distinction, right? Because you asked him the follow up questions, and he was like, "It's not that I don't trust it; it's the fact that I don't know about it." But he started the conversation with, "I don't trust
Mm-hmm.
those." So I think there's a little bit of that, to where if you're not familiar or don't know something, instead of most people just saying, I'm not really familiar with that. They feel like they have to be on one side, oh, I love it, or I don't trust it. And if I don't know, then I don't love it. Then that means I don't trust it. When it just could just be, well, I'm not all that familiar. Tell me a little bit more about that. People are automatically go to, oh, I don't mess with stuff like that, young man or young blood.
Yeah.
Back in my day, it's like, all right, well, lucky for me, it ain't back in your day.
Well, yeah, there's that. And the other thing too, to be fair to my father-in-law and other folks of that age, he's been doing it one way for literally 50 years. So it's like, this is how I've always done it. I haven't had any problems with it. Is there any reason for me to look up a new way to do it? And for him, it wasn't until he's sitting across from his son-in-law who's going to be on the bleeding edge of whatever technology. Because I've been using Samsung Pay for years. So it's not like this is the first time he's seen me do it. It's just the first time he's seen me do it enough to where he would ask a question about it. So we actually, went through, and like I said, we got him all set up on Samsung Pay. But it's interesting to me that in his mind, he makes a distinction between Samsung Pay and paying with your phone at a order processing terminal as compared to sending his granddaughter money on PayPal. Like you just said, it's exactly the same thing,
or as opposed to buying something online.
Right.
It's the same. It's the exact same thing. I'm curious as to why people think it's so different that I'm paying with my phone. Like you mentioned, I think there's some ignorance in the fact that people think, like, I'll tell you a story about my father-in-law. He thought the emails was on his computer. We was trying to do some troubleshooting, and he was like, how do I get the emails off my computer? It's like, well, you log into your account. He's like, yeah, but the emails are in my computer. How can y'all log in and see my emails just by logging in? I'm like, because the emails are not on your computer. And I think that those type of conversations, there's just education. It's just education in the fact that, hey, this is all digital.
Mm-hmm.
The money is in your account until somebody comes and gets it, whether it be you get it out and give it to somebody, or the credit card companies or Apple Pay or Samsung Pay come get it, or Zelle, Cash App, Venmo, PayPal. Somebody's got to do the physical. For those who are listening, you have to pretend that I'm taking my hand and reaching into a bag. But for those who are watching, somebody has to go in and get the money out. It don't matter who, as long as the right amount of money comes out, you should be fine. But getting people to understand that is the general overarching concept. Just how you get people to the money is different. I think, again, like you mentioned, the older generation who are used to doing it a certain way, but eventually ignorance ain't gonna be bliss. You can't use ignorance as no excuse. Eventually stuff is going to switch over, and then now you're gonna be faced with, all right, I should have been doing this 2-3 years ago versus waiting till somebody drags you to where you can't take no money out.
So this isn't really a thing for us in our generation, but folks older than us, and we've probably seen it. That uncle that got 19 different credit cards, and he literally in his wallet, instead of putting you remember I used to put pictures in the plastic sleeves in a wallet when you had to physically carry pictures of your kids and stuff around? My uncle would put all his credit cards in those, and he would literally flip this thing out, and he's got, he has a credit card for Pennies. He's got a credit card for Home Depot. He's got for every place he goes, he's got a card for that particular place. And so I was telling my father-in-law, I was like, so yeah, I don't do that. I carry 2 cards on me, my Amex and my primary checking account, like, my debit card. Everything else is like in my travel wallet. I don't need, it's in a travel wallet because it's not the wallet I travel with. I would probably never take these cards on travel with me. I have them, but they're all in my, literally in a drawer in my office. And if I ever need to use them, I would go and I would get one, but I've never needed to use them because mobile payments just work. And if maybe once or twice in the history of me using mobile payments, I tried to use a card that I didn't physically have on me. And it's like, okay, well, I'll just use another card and keep it pushing. Not that big of a deal. And like I said, I think I want to say this has probably happened twice because I can remember once. So maybe it's happened 100% more than the times that I remember it. But it was just it's an interesting weekend because he saw me do it on multiple occasions. He saw my wife actually do it with her watch. He saw me do it with his, when I actually got out to get some gas and pay for gas,
Mhm.
and I just tapped my watch up to the thing. He's like, "Oh, you can do that from your watch too." It's like, not only can I do it from my watch, you could do it from your watch, because he wears a Samsung Galaxy watch as well. So it was
Mhm.
just, for him, it was just, he had never had a reason to go and do the updates, updates on his phone and get everything set up. And it was just until he saw me doing it, and he's like, "Okay, my son-in-law is doing this. He probably knows what he's doing." And then I explained it to him, and he's like, "Oh, okay." So it's like Cash App for him. So we got him all set up, and I'm waiting for him to call me and say, "Okay, son, how do I get my regular card in here? Because this other card, I don't even use it, that, because I know that's going to be the thing. It's like he's got a card in there he don't really use that much, and when he's going to see the utilitarian nature of this thing and how useful it is, he's going to want to probably put his primary card in it."
And I'd send him a link. Here are the
Yeah,
instructions on how to do that.
yeah.
Because guess what? I ain't doing. I ain't doing it because I tried to get you to do it when I was down here. And you ain't want to do it. So now here are the instructions. Walk through these steps. Let me know if you get stuck.
Yeah, it's not that hard. He did have to make a call to his bank, because like
Sure.
just, "Hey, I'm trying to do this," and it took 5 seconds. I'm being facetious.
Mhm.
It took maybe a 2-minute phone call to his bank. You just had to call the number on the back of the card. "Hey, I'm trying to
Mhm.
activate this." "Yeah, we see it, so you're good." And then to "Try it now," and it was literally on the phone. They said, "Try it now," and we did that right there in the car, where after we walked out of a restaurant. So it was it's pretty straightforward and seamless for him. But I thought I would just tell that story, because I would imagine that most people that are listening to this show probably are up on it. But for the folks that that aren't,
Your mama and them ain't.
yeah, they may not be. Like I said, it's 5 to 7% of folks over 55 are using mobile payments, and we're not talking about just Apple Pay, Google Pay. We're talking about any type of app: Cash App, PayPal, Venmo. PayPal is still the number one way that people make mobile payments, and I guess it kind of makes sense. It's been around for so
They were
long. It's
first.
been around
Yeah.
for years, and
Yeah.
my father-in-law, he may not even think about this. I didn't think about it when we were doing this. He has a PayPal account. I just have the information for it, because he was trying to buy some stuff off of eBay way back in the day, some tools or something like that, and he needed to have a PayPal account to be able to do that. This is years and years ago. So I'm pretty certain that I probably have the information for that account in a vault somewhere, that I could get to if he ever needed to use it. But yeah, very, very few older adults use this. So if you know how to use your phone and you're using Apple Pay, grab one of your elders and show
Well,
them how
so
this stuff works.
you got to be careful, right? Because with Google Pay, all the mobile payment services, it's only as secure as the person who's securing it. So if they've got a easy password to get into their phone, like 00000 or 1234, or straight down the middle, you may want to school them on securing their phone first.
Mm-hmm.
Then once they got their phone secure and it's got a complex passcode and you've got two-factor authentication turned on the device, then you take it a step deeper and be like, all right, now you got your phone secure. Let me show you how to get these mobile payments. So they'll feel more comfortable putting the cards on the phone when they know, all right, my phone itself is a little secure. A lot of those people that we're talking about, those older generation, are just people just not, and they may not be ableist. People are just not familiar with technology. Try to make it as easy as possible. And the way you make it as easy as possible is, I got to put a passcode on here. All right, 11111
Mm-hmm.
00000 just to get into the phone. That's probably why they don't trust it, because technically they don't trust themselves.
Yeah, he does not have his phone set up with a passcode. His phone is
Mm-hmm.
just on. He's like,
See,
I live by myself. I never let anybody touch my phone. Why am I going to worry about? I'm not going to even have that argument with him. But every mobile application I've ever used makes you put in some type of authentication, whether it be a passcode, and more hopefully Face ID or something like that, or a thumbprint. So for him, he's using the Samsung phone. I just had him use his thumb for it. So this was only going to work for you, because that was a concern. It's like, somebody gets my phone, they're gonna get access to all of my accounts. No, they're not going to get access to all of your accounts unless they have your face or your thumbprint. So we did set it up for his I forget what Samsung calls, but it checks your eyes or something like that. And then also we set it up with this number. He'll use his fingerprints almost every time. I'm certain of it because it's just easy to just touch his phone and just do it. But I just, like I said, this wasn't really a news item for today. It's just something that just happened to me. And I thought it was pretty cool that my father-in-law for about 11 minutes and 13 seconds thought I was a superhero because I showed him how to do something on his phone that he didn't know how to do before I showed him how to do it. So just wanted to tell that little story. But yeah, just especially if you got some folks that is that next generation, and you know that they don't know how to use it, take a little time. It takes you 15 minutes to explain it and show them how to use it.
I'm
Now,
like,
let me say this. If they still
I'm
got a
like, look,
beige computer, you might want to hold up on that. If their computer is still beige and it was what they bought in the store when it was beige, yeah, you might want to hold up on that. But if they know how to use the phone, go ahead.
As the family IT person, don't do it. Reconsider. Read some literature on the subject. Don't volunteer your services as the IT person because you will forever be the IT person.
That is true. So Terrance, we're gonna roll right into this next story. You stuck this in here, and it kind of is somewhat related because we talked about this a little bit. But Microsoft's Authenticator. We didn't talk specifically about Authenticator, but we talked about I have my father's PayPal information in a vault somewhere. For me, it is probably LastPass. Yes, I still use LastPass. Don't judge me. I know. But Microsoft Authenticator, they had an app, and it looks like that is going away. So what's going on with that?
Don't know. They just killing it. Starting in June, you will no longer be able to store new passwords in Authenticator. In July, the actual autofill feature will stop working, meaning you won't be able to use Authenticator to fill in passwords for you. In August, all saved passwords will disappear from Authenticator, effectively killing the feature for good. Now, if you've got passwords saved, you'll still be able to retrieve them from your Microsoft account. But in order to actually use them to autofill, Microsoft is like, hey man, we playing the ecosystem game. You're going to have to download Microsoft Edge in order to autofill your passwords from accounts you have stored in your Microsoft account. If you don't want to use Edge, which again, it's been a minute, I ain't taking a pulse to find out which is the browser of use for Microsoft, but I'm pretty sure it ain't Edge. But at any rate, if you don't want to use Edge, but you still want to access your passwords, you will have to export them to a third-party password manager app, like Rob mentioned, LastPass,
One
Password,
Bitwarden,
Dashlane. But for those Microsoft fans who was using Authenticator for both a two-factor authenticator tool and as a password manager to autofill passwords into web browsers, into forms, into documents, into login credentials, can't do that no more with Authenticator. And I don't even see where the reasoning for them doing it. They just said in July or June and July, it will no longer be useful and you'll have to export if you don't want to use Edge.
I have a theory as to why they're doing this and why this news came out. It either came out today or yesterday but it just recently came out. Last week, Microsoft announced that they have made the default Microsoft account passwordless. So if you go to Microsoft for anything to create an account, there is no longer a password by default. You can force it to create a password if you need to do so for whatever reason. But by default, if you create, whether it be, any account for any Microsoft services, those accounts no longer have passwords. Microsoft is hard pushing passkey, which is a passwordless authentication mechanism. And I applaud them for doing that to get folks off of passwords, which are just so insecure. Passkeys are, so much more secure. The problem I do have, though, is that Microsoft, that everybody's not where you're at. Everybody is not saying that we're going to make our accounts all be passwordless at this point. So that there's a lot of folks who are still using passwords, and you're taking that ability away from them to use your platform to save those, not to save them, but to continue to use those passwords, to log into websites, to log into applications where it would do the autofill for you, because you're moving away from passwords. We get that, but you do understand it's going to be years before everyone is over to passkey or whatever comes after passkey. So from my standpoint, I understand why Microsoft made this move, but I don't agree with it because there's a whole lot of folks that, well, if this don't work anymore, I guess I'm just going to go back to using 3 passwords for the 1,112 different websites that they log into and actually become less secure than they may be right now.
Well, so Saray in the chat makes a good point. She said the fact that you don't know about their authenticator by now is why they're discounting it. So maybe not the authenticator as much, but the autofill function within the Microsoft Authenticator. I don't think Authenticator itself is going away.
No, it's not.
It's just the password manager portion of Authenticator is going away. Microsoft Authenticator itself is a pretty popular product, but Saray, to your point, the fact that nobody knew that there was a password manager inside the Authenticator is probably why Microsoft is like, hey, no more extra resources, no more extra time, no more extra development, no more extra, what's the word? Invigorating. That's not innovating. Innovating is the word.
Mhm.
Innovating for password managers within Microsoft Authenticator. There's enough competition out there. We just gonna kill it. Ain't no sense of messing around with it anymore. So my guess is there was a very small number of people who you were using that autofill feature within Authenticator. Most people are already using these third-party software that's probably more popular than Authenticator, if you ask me.
I regularly told folks to use Authenticator though. Why? Because it was free. It didn't cost anything. It's $3.99. And it did it work as good as Bitwarden or LastPass or 1Password? No, but it did what it was needed to do. If you couldn't remember what your banking account information was, it stored it, and when you would go to your banking website, it would automatically autofill it for you. It just worked. So from that standpoint, I know that there's maybe a few people are on it. I probably would have gone a different way, but you know what? I don't run a multi-billion-dollar company like Microsoft, so they didn't really ask my opinion on it. So, but like I said, I do get why they're doing it. They just announced last week we are getting rid of passwords here at Microsoft. So you have to do some extra stuff to use a password at Microsoft. It used to be way back in the day you had to do extra stuff to be able to use a passkey. Passkey is now their default, and other companies are going to start doing the same thing. And I can't wait for that. But there still is a need for password managers. We have been here on the Tech John proponents of password managers for a long time, because one of the biggest issues with people and passwords is that even if you are trying to create a complex password where you've got a capital letter and a lowercase letter and a number and a special character, and it's at least 12 to 15 characters long, you can only remember 2 or 3 of them. You're going to remember the one you use for Gmail, maybe the one you use for your bank, and that's about a wrap. Maybe if you need to log into one at work, you might remember. Those are the 3 that you might remember. But if you got 511 different websites that you log into, you would just reuse them 3 passwords, or you reuse variations of them 3 passwords over and over and over again. And that's how people get got. It's like you're using a password that somebody figured out on some breach, and you're now using it on another website thinking that you're cool, but the hackers are smart too, and they're like, well, if you try this password over here on this site, let's go try it on this site and see if you used it there. And if you have, that's how you oftentimes get got. So if I would strongly recommend for those who are listening, if you were using Microsoft Authenticator, I'm not going to tell you which one to go to, because there are many. We've mentioned probably 4 or 5 on here. But I still strongly recommend that you use password managers, because they're just better than reusing passwords. If you get a good one, and unfortunately the good ones are not free, you do have to pay $1, $2, or $3 a month for them, but they will even let you know when your password has been part of a hack or a part of a breach. It'll let you know and then say, hey, this password has been infiltrated. It's time to reset it. It'll let you know, you can do tests with them, with various different platforms, where they will actually go test your passwords to see if those passwords are secure. And if they're not, it'll give you a lower score and tell you need to go update these passwords, or this password has been duplicated on these sites. And then it gives you the ability to automatically go through and update those passwords. So there's a lot of good that a lot of different password managers will do. Since Microsoft's password manager built into Authenticator is going away, I strongly recommend that you get something different. So Terrance, what are you using? Are you using the built-in stuff into your iPhone?
I was using LastPass. but they was they was getting breached too much. It's like, nah, I can't deal with the place that's supposed to store my passwords keep getting breached. So
Yeah,
I'm out.
yeah. So, yeah, it's like, yeah, I'm full transparency. I'm still on LastPass because it was such a hassle to get not just me, but like family members off of it, and then try to get them to use something different. I tried to get everybody over to 1Password. It just wasn't working. So,
Are you sharing passwords with people?
am I sharing? Um,
Yeah. You say it's hard to get off. Why can't you just get
So it
off?
took me years to get folks to use LastPass, like my
Oh, to get
mother,
them
my
on.
mom,
Now
and
you can't
them.
just say now you can't just say I'm bailing now.
So if I'm no longer there, I'm no longer
Hmm.
tech support for them, and I don't want them getting
Oh
hemmed up.
man. See what I just said? See?
Yeah,
This is why you don't become IT for the family.
you bring
Because now you responsible.
that is true. So, like I said, I tried to get folks off of LastPass. It was harder than trying to get them on there. I'm not changing. I'm
Mhm.
not going through all that work. I didn't get breached
Mhm.
up good. It's like, no, you did get breached. You just they paid attention to the emails you keep getting when they let you know that you've been breached. So,
Mhm.
but anyway, LastPass is better than not using anything. So I'll just say it like that. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend LastPass, but I won't recommend that you use nothing if LastPass is the option to you. I'll say it that way.
Yeah.
So Terrance, I don't know how much Apple was making on third-party app store sales. You know that if you were Apple a little while ago, they allowed you to, if you didn't want to use the app store to make a purchase for your phone or your tablet, you could use a third-party platform to do so, much like what Android has offered for pretty much forever. But Apple was still taking like 27% cut, even if you was using somebody else's app store. And a judge has come out, and this is all stemming from the Epic versus Apple case. And a judge has ruled that you cannot collect these fees any longer. You cannot have someone use a third party application and you collect fees from them using something that is not you. And more so, this judge, she said that not only that, you can no longer even warn people that they are using third-party platforms and that they shouldn't be using these third-party platforms, other than maybe just a message saying that just that this is not this is not the app store, that it is something else. Other than that, you don't even get to say anything about it. So long story short, what does that mean? There are all kind of third-party stores that are popping up. I believe that Spotify was the first one to get their app to where you no longer have to make payments through the app store. You can make them now directly through the Spotify app. I believe they were the first big app to actually get this done. And this stuff just came out like Wednesday, Thursday last week. And Spotify within 24 hours had a new app update.
Well, so for those who don't know, Epic is the game developer behind Fortnite,
Mm-hmm.
which is super popular. And there are people who spend, I don't want to say hundreds of thousands of dollars, but they spend a lot of money playing Fortnite. So that means a lot of money for everybody involved. Apple, Epic, and this is where the clash comes in. Apple is like, yo, they using them on our products, so gonna grease our palms a little bit. Epic is like, yeah, but they only playing it on your platforms because we are the best video game for this and that and this and that. So if you want us on your platform so everybody be playing it, then you need to take that commission off. And Apple's like, all right, stalemate. First one bites. Who first one blinks? How's this going to be? And it looks like a judge just made Apple blink to where now they can't charge extra fees on purchases made outside of their outside of their app store, which makes sense because again, Fortnite is no slouch, and they do have some leverage, and the fact that people aren't leaving Fortnite because they can't play on their iPhone or their iPad. So that eventually was going to put Apple at a disadvantage. Now, Apple's got rabid fans just like Fortnite does, but as it relates to how you get the game I love on the platform or the device I love, which one is more important? Is it the game that brings the people or the device that brings the people?
Mm-hmm.
And I think Apple was banking on the fact that was the device is the device is the device. Epic is like, nah, it's the service or the app or whatever the case may be, and we're just gonna see who dukes it out, who wins it out. And it looks like courts are siding with these third party companies to say, hey, Apple, if they make a purchase inside the app, then charge them whatever they need to charge. But if they go to Spotify's website and they upgrade to whatever, then y'all got to be hands off with that. And we'll see what Apple does after that. They said they'll appeal, but I'm pretty sure there'll be some sort of retaliation because I'm surprised Apple ain't gonna let this one go.
They're
Put
not.
it like today.
They're not
Yeah.
going to let it go. They are definitely. They announced the
Mm-hmm.
appeal today. Actually, they are definitely appealing this. But what's going to
Mm-hmm.
be interesting though is that once people get a taste of not having to pay that 30% fee, is Apple? Hey, I don't care what you got a taste for. You're gonna go back to giving us the money if we win this case. That'll be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But I do want to really explain to people who may not 100% understand what's happened. So let's say that you walk into an Apple store and on the shelf you see the game Fortnite. So you decide, you know what, I want to pay, and I'm making these numbers up, I want to pay $100 for Fortnite. Well, Apple gets a 30% commission for you buying the game Fortnite in the Apple store. When you walk into the store, buy it off the shelf, they get 30%. That makes sense. It's they're, they're doing the work. They are the ones that set up the store for you to be able to go in there, buy it and everything. And they're doing that. But let's say that you decide to go to Best Buy and buy the game Fortnite for your iPhone. Best Buy has to charge you something because they, just like Apple, set up a store and need to be paid. But Apple is saying, but even if you buy it from Best Buy, you don't got to give
You're
us
still playing
30%.
it.
You got to give us 27.
Because you're still playing it on our
Yeah.
device.
And that's where they're falling foul of these rulings that have come down on them. So this Judge Gonzalez Rogers, she has actually said that they may hold Apple and an executive or two in contempt because she flat out feels like Apple they were straight up lying about some stuff that happened in court. And was kind of surprised, like, is Apple really going right in front of my eyes actually still act like we didn't just discuss this in court? I'm putting my own words in there, but that's ultimately what's happening. It's like, she actually said that she may refer this to the U.S. attorneys to seek further damages from Apple on this. So the court is not happy at all with Apple. Developers everywhere, well, I wouldn't say developers everywhere, developers that
Only the developers getting charged.
the developers getting charged are happy everywhere.
Because Apple wasn't, see, I think that's a common misconception too. I think a lot of people assume that if you have a app, then you're getting charged 30%. It's not the case. Apple's only hitting the big players that's making millions of dollars. Again, I don't know about you, but if I am making a device and people love the device and people love doing stuff on the device, you think I'm gonna miss out on that millions of dollars? Hey, I'm gonna try to get my hand in there too. So again, I don't put it past Apple, but if the judge say this is what it is, then Apple's gonna have to comply instead of just ignoring people, which is, I think, what was the problem here. This ruling had come down earlier, and then Apple was kind of like, we don't care. And this judge picked it up and was like, wait a minute. No, that's not how we do things. So Apple's gonna have to figure that part out. But look, I don't blame them, because business is business. So you're gonna try to get the money until somebody tell you can't.
Oh, there's a whole lot of Fortune 1000, Fortune 2000 companies. All they are is middlemen. All they do is facilitate you getting a thing from somebody else and taking points out the middle. And that's essentially what Apple is doing here. Is like they say, look, we the ones who did all this work to build this glorious iPhone that you love, to build this glorious iPad that you love, to build this glorious Mac that you love, even though it's a little different on Mac because you can't do some other stuff on Mac. But iPad and iPhone particularly is where this ruling is really biting hard. So you're gonna use another store if you want to, but you're still gonna give us 27% instead of 30. We think that the other store, they can get their 3%. We still gonna get our 27, and that's where
And I think
the problem is coming down here. Epic has said that it should never be that high.
And I think where Apple messed up was they tried to be sneaky about getting the money. Just be like, yo, it's on our platform, so we deserve a cut. They was like, well, you gotta, and because, and you gotta make sure hackers, and we gotta keep it safe and privacy and data. Nobody come on now, stop playing. Just be like, yo, our iPhones, our iPads are the greatest on the world. If you want your service in front of these millions, hundreds of millions of people, then you got to pay the piper. And now they pushing back. So, I mean, this is how free trade? No, that's not the word. Capitalism works.
Apple was particularly gangster with this because it was like, okay, because like you had companies like Microsoft's like, cool, bet. Do you think that Apple is a bigger company than Microsoft? Do you think that people know Apple products more than they know Microsoft products? Microsoft is like, nah, we good. Y'all just come over here to the Microsoft store. We're not going to even worry about Apple. If you want to install the app over there, you can install it over there. It is free. We will never charge you money, but we will charge you, all day, every day. If you use our apps, you have to come to our store and just buy the app here. You're not going to even do anything with Apple. Epic is probably big enough that they could have done that as well, but they're not big like a Microsoft. They're not that kind of big to where everybody just knows you can go to this other place and do these other things. And that's where I think the judge is like coming up, because you couldn't even say you can buy this update by clicking on this link and going somewhere else where you could do it outside of Apple's walled garden. Apple was like, no, even if you do that, we want 27%. Or we're not going to even allow you to do that. So this ruling is not just that Apple can't charge. Apple can't keep you from, they can't like give you these scare warnings. Hey, you are leaving the App Store, and these other systems, these third-party systems are prone to be hacked. They used to say that kind of stuff. They can no longer say that kind of stuff. So even though I'm not really a iPhone user, I mean, I do have an iPad, but I wouldn't consider myself in the Apple ecosystem. I do want to see how this plays out, because I think it is still safe to say that Apple is a hardware company that happens to make really, really good software and also has some ridiculously sticky services. But they still are a hardware company. But I think that they've been, over the past few years, trying to make that transition, because ultimately people are buying phones a little bit slower. People are not buying as many phones as they've bought before. And where can you continually make money? Services and software. So they're trying to get to where they are competing with big players on that space, but they're not quite there yet, even with them being the biggest company in the world. So I get what Apple is doing, but it's just like, man, it was straight gangster with it. It's like, yeah, you can go use this other store. We still want 27 of the 30% that we was going to get.
Because you got to play it on our platform. You got to play it on our device. And our device is, to them, they were like, this is the driver. It ain't the app. It's the device. And we'll see how, courts feel about that.
So y'all, if you haven't been paying attention, we got some terror stuff going on over here in the United States. And these things have kicked in, Terrance, and they are ridiculous. So I really noticed the first hit with a tariff was, I bought my wife a Anchor battery, like one of those battery backups that you can just charge your phone with. She can just leave it in her bag and charge your phone, because she has a habit of just forgetting her charger. Just put this battery in there, charge it up after you use it, and just leave it in your bag. That way you always have it with you. When I bought that joker back like in the end of November, beginning of December in 2024, I paid $79.99 for it on Amazon. That same battery today, the same battery, it doesn't have any new features or anything like that. That same battery today is like $117.99. So it has gone up significantly in price. That was the first thing that I've noticed from a tariff. But the one that got me was last week when Microsoft said, yeah, the Xbox that was $299.99 is now $379.99. The Xbox One X that was, or I should say Series X that was $399.99 is now $499.99. It went up a clean 20%. Controllers, they cost more. Games, it was $59, they now $79, or at least they will be come like the holiday season. So that's one that a lot of people are going to say, oh, whoa, what's going on? This Xbox that I was going to get for $400 is now $500. This Xbox that I was going to get for $300 is now almost $400. What is up with these prices? This is all based off of the 145% tariff that has been placed on items that come out of China. All Xboxes are made in China. And now we are seeing some of these things with the tariffs there. But the big one for me is that Temu,
The big one for you.
I'm sorry?
Big one for you. Big one for
Not
you.
big one for me,
Temu.
because I don't think they make clothes my size, but big one for my wife. They have decided that they are like, we're not putting stuff, from China on the app anymore. So I know you stuck this in here. Tell us what's going on with Temu and what they're doing here.
Well, this is a response to the tariff war back and forth between Donald Trump and everybody else. Of course, China was one of the main ones to say, no, we're not going to take that. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to see your tariff and raise you another 20 or 30%. So they was going back and forth. And for instance, CNBC reports that Temu was affected as well, with U.S. shoppers seeing, quote, import charges between 130 and 150%. Not $130, 130% to 150% added to their bills. Now, however, they ain't even doing that. The company is no longer shipping goods directly from China to the United States. Instead, it only displays listings for products available in U.S. warehouses, while goods shipped from China are listed as out of stock. So I don't know if this is a logistics thing or a petty thing, but China's like, you know what? As far as Temu is concerned, you know what? We ain't even messing with these tariffs. We just not going to send any more inventory to United States warehouses. So if you're on Temu and you're looking for something and it's the regular price, what that means is in the United States, a warehouse somewhere has that product and you can get it from the warehouse. If you see a product and say this product is out of stock, that means no more warehouses in the United States have it, and no American, companies, distributors we are no longer can get it from China because China will not sell it to us. So again, for all y'all, my kids, my middle child shops on Temu for little bitty trinkets and stuff like that, right? And that's typically Chinese foreign made stuff. And she's going to feel the pain because she's going to run out of knickknacks for her room to buy because Temu is no longer shipping stuff from China.
Yeah, the thing is like we just talked about Microsoft and how Microsoft is doing this. Well, they only raised the price of the Xbox 20%. How can they only raise it 20% if the tariff is 145%? Well, Microsoft is a multi-trillion-dollar company. And what Microsoft, at least in the short term, is going to do is probably eat some of their earnings on this. So you're going to see Microsoft, well, we can't sell these things for 145% more. We simply are saying that the Xbox is now embargoed. You just can't buy one on Earth anymore, or at least in the United States anymore, on that part of the Earth. But they're big enough to where we're going to just eat some of our profit, and let's just see if we can work out a deal. But we are going to raise these things up 20%. But when you're talking about the companies that are on Temu, they don't have the opportunity. They're not making that kind of money. They're already are running very, very thin margins. So something that was $12 now is $31. That thing is just not going to be sold anymore. People are going to go look for something else. You're not trying to pay. You don't want to pay 20% more. You definitely don't want to pay 145% more. So,
well, hopefully, and the reason why I say hopefully is because the only way the United States moves back and tries to renegotiate for different tariffs or different trade agreements is if people stop buying. The United States American people stop buying shit. I hate to say it, but the only way these companies are going to be like, all right, government, y'all gonna have to do something because nobody's buying our stuff, right? You mentioned at the top that the Xbox and the PlayStation, they've went up for like at least $100, right? are people still going to buy them things at the marked up price? If they do, Microsoft is like, we straight, because American companies are still going to buy them. So we're going to raise it up 20. It's going to be 25. It's going to be 35. It's going to be 45%. And before you know it, you're paying double for whatever the case may be. And if we keep buying it, business as usual. The only way the tariff thing breaks down is if United States people stop buying all this crap. And I don't think we are. I think we'll still be. I mean, I'm not talking about essentials. I'm not talking about food. I'm not talking about gas. I'm talking about PlayStations and Xboxes and cheap crap on TikTok Shop. We still gonna be buying that stuff, Jack. So it's gonna be a long time before we feel these effects, before the companies can't help but to raise the price, because you know what the companies are not going to do for a long time? Eat that with their earnings.
They're not going. We're not in the
business.
business
For a long time.
These companies are not charities. They're not in the business of not making a profit. They want to turn significant. They want to turn, and I can't be mad at a company for trying to make all the money that it can make. So, like I said, in the case of what Microsoft is doing, why didn't you see the Xbox go up 145%? Microsoft is $1 trillion company. They can eat it for a minute. Which is what I think the administration wants a lot of companies to do. We will see. I'm of a difference of opinion than you, Terrance. I don't think that a lot of Americans are going to continue to buy at the same. Will they continue to buy? Yes. Will they continue to buy at the same rate?
That same clip?
I don't think so, because money is not infinite. If you only had $100, doesn't just because a tariff, just because something costs more than $100 doesn't mean that you have more than $100. Now, listen. I'm talking myself out of it. I'm saying, I know.
Well, no. But what I'm saying is, we talked about it at the top of the show. People have how many credit cards? Your uncle had how many credit cards?
He could flip that thing out like dominoes, man. It would just keep rolling out. 13, 14 of them.
People will go into debt for what they want, unfortunately.
Yeah, that is a whole nother problem itself, because now you got inflation. I mean, this is going to hurt all kind of ways.
And high interest
if people
rates
continue to buy the stuff with these tariffs, inflation is going to be off the. It's going to skyrocket.
The only way we stop this thing in the tracks is if Americans say, "Hey, I ain't buying that. I can't afford it. I cannot afford it."
So I do believe that some people are going to simply not afford some things. I said this the other day, is like, I think, in fact, I said it today. I am a huge fan. Stephanie and I both got these devices right around the Christmas time frame. We got the DJI, Osmo Pocket 3, these little mobile cameras with a gimbal built on for whole 1-inch sensor. These things are ridiculous. Man, the price on that thing right now, it's gone up hundreds of dollars for this thing. So the point that I made was that I think that you're going to see, like, these secondary markets are going to just run, where people are trying to buy used equipment and this and that and the other.
Sure.
Because you don't have to worry about a tariff in the second hand. It's like, it's already here. Somebody sold a lens. I want to buy the lens.
And it's marked
sold
down. And I ain't paying for what do you call it? I ain't paying inflation.
Right.
Because it's already less than market value, because it ain't new, it's used.
Well, these companies that actually sell secondhand stuff, they are a capitalist as well. So I imagine the prices are going to go up. You're probably going to start seeing used lenses, used camera equipment, like stuff from Ulanzi and stuff like that. All this stuff that is made in China. You're going to start seeing this stuff on the used secondhand markets, and the price of it used may be close to what it was when it was new. Why? Because they can. And that's the inflationary aspect of what's happening here. So it is going to be interesting. And today really starts, a lot of analysts are saying that the bottom drops out starting this week, that ships that are literally arriving at ports right now have significantly less stuff on it. So we're going to see. I did see this. This wasn't at my Costco, but I saw a Costco where the line was like, the line at the Costco was like it was back in the pandemic when people was trying to buy toilet paper and this and that and the other. Kind of it probably shouldn't be, because like a lot of the stuff that is in Costco is already here anyway. It's like the stuff is sourced here. It's not like they're going someplace else to get it. So that might be a little bit of folks that are just reacting to something they don't necessarily need to react to. But yesterday's price is not today's price. That is definitely something that is going to be the truth. And like I said, I hope we get this stuff figured out before things get bad. I know some folks are saying it's not going to be bad. More folks are saying it is going to be bad. The inflation issue is what is an issue for me, and I do not want to go into a man-made. I mean, I guess technically all recessions are man-made, but this one man made this one. It's like, this is what we're doing. The commander in chief has flat out said, if we have to go through a little bit of pain right now to get what I want, because Trump has been on tariffs since the early 80s. He's never changed on it. No one with any good sense has been able to change his mind on what he thinks tariffs is going to do. I don't think he's right. Most people don't think he's right, but this is where he is. This is where he's always been. And he kind of said it when he was on Meet the Press this last week. I'm not running for president again. I don't have another election to run. So this is what we're going to do, and we're going to see how it works. And so I don't know that he's willing to back down as quickly as what a lot of folks are saying he's going to.
He don't have to.
Yeah. Nope.
Because we still buying the stuff.
So we're going to see. So that brings us, folks, to the top of our hour. Have some lively conversation, and it's potentially just the two of us. Steph will be back next week. Like I said, she was supposed to be here today. She got hemmed up in some traffic. But I will say this, folks, the summer months are coming. It don't really feel like it here in Ohio because it has been rainy for like the last week and a half. It's going to be rainy for like the next 10 days, and it's only getting into like the low 60s, which is kind of cool right now for this time of year. But we've got all kind of t-shirts and baseball shirts and baseball caps, and even if it's still chilly, you want a hoodie, that kind of stuff. We got all this kind of stuff over at our store. So if you were to head over to thetechjohn.com/shop, you're going to find all kind of things with our logo on it. I probably should have had a mug or a t-shirt on today to talk about it, since I knew I was going to be talking about our store, but we do have one. It's got our cool logo on it with our three faces on it. And anything you do in that store helps us bring this tech to you the way that we bring it to you. So we really appreciate you. Once again, head over to thetechjohn.com/shop. With that being said, Brother Tech, tell folks how they can get at you.
Yeah, you can find me all over the internet at Brother Tech. That's BROTHATECH.
And I am at Robb Dunewood on all the things. And we're also at the Tech John, the Tech JAWN on all the things. So come holler at us, have you holler. Until we meet again in a week's time. Peace.
Peace.